All right, we've got the media show going on, and I've got Kim with me, and Jatobi, and Dr. Sharif. And of course, we're always interested in talking about what's happening in the media landscape. I know the big conversation was the Oscars, which were this past weekend, and of course, the sports world and everything like that. So, Jatobi, did you watch the Oscars, and did y'all pay attention to the Oscars in Bangladesh, Dr. Sharif? Because that was one of the big media stories. Because even Rick earlier was saying there wasn't a lot of political discussion at this year's Oscars, even though it's sometimes been used as a platform to let people have their political thoughts and their political protests. Did you watch the Oscars? Because I know a lot of people were hoping the Sinners was going to win and everything like that, and I think they did win some awards, but not as many as they were expected to win.
I mean, I'll admit I didn't really watch the Oscars. I saw some of the highlights, but I was watching the NCAA selection committee, so that's what I was watching. Because and then the World Baseball Classic happened after that. So even though I love different movies and shows and all the other stuff, yeah, I didn't sit down and watch the Oscars. I'm glad that Sinners won a lot. Sinners was a great movie, done really well. Heard Del Rey should have gotten. He got robbed, but I'm glad to hear Michael B. Jordan won. He celebrated that in an In-N-Out burger, which was kind of funny. But outside of that, yeah, I didn't really pay much attention. Oh, I did see that Sinners did one of the songs on stage. Also, K-pop Demon Hunter did a song on stage. I saw that too. But yeah, like I said, I didn't really watch it that much because I was focused on sports, and I love my sports.
I was watching this election show too. I got to figure out whether I'm going to make picks this year and whether I'm going to make picks that involve a dollar or two, or whether I'm going to pass on that and just do the picks that are free. But either way, I will make some picks because I'm just thinking there's going to be some upsets. We were talking earlier about Carolina, and I would not be surprised if VCU doesn't upset them and make them an early first round exit and everything like that. So VCU has had a history of doing that historically, so it would not surprise me if they did it again, even though I know a lot of folks here in the Carolinas who are hoping that that's not the case, but I will not be surprised. And just like I won't be surprised if High Point doesn't give a fit to the team that they're playing.
I mean, it's going to be – I mean, it'll probably be chalk that'll go straight through because the top teams, the top number one, or all the number ones have been playing really well. Right. Ever since Duke beat Michigan, Duke has blown teams out roughly by 20. I think the only one was Virginia was really even close. Well, Virginia and Florida State that were really close. Arizona's been a dominant team, but it's Florida. They got a big guy in the middle too. So it's Florida actually lost though. They didn't play in the SEC championship game.
And Michigan lost their championship, so they're number one seed, but they lost.
But I think again, it might be chalk going all the way through. However, it is definitely going to be an interesting year. I think there are going to be some upsets that people won't think about. But yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it was good seeing the first year school. I mean, I think the school's only 3 years old, maybe 4 years old as a Division I. They got a bid, and that's actually from right here in North Carolina, that being Queens College. So Queens College is a new team to Division I, and they actually got to go to the big dance. So it's good to see new teams go every year as well. I hate that my Golden Eagles had a horrible year this year, so we didn't go anywhere, and now we'll see whether Shaka will be on the hot seat next year. We had like at least a year grace, so we'll see what he can do. Now that he's probably going to have to go out and get some players from the portal and everything like that. But he does have one of the best guards in the country, so that will help him, and he's got a pretty good forward. So we've got some building blocks, but it'll be interesting to see what goes on in that space. Are you worried, and this is for you, Sharif, as well, about these roles? Because that's what y'all were talking about before I got here and everything with the FCC and them threatening people if they don't cover things the way they want them to. This is almost sounding, I hate to put it this way because it was before even my time, but this is almost sounding McCarthy-esque and everything like that, like the way that McCarthy did the Great Scare and everything like this. So I don't know if Trump is a student of history and knows about the McCarthy era, but it's almost seeming that way to me, or am I overreacting?
So what's your question, please?
The question is, are you following the rule? How tight is the security of media in Bangladesh was one of my questions, because they're talking about making it very enforcing against people that are against their philosophy in the U.S. So, like, if somebody is against Trump, then they might lose their FCC license. That's a threat that is being thrown out there. So, how tight is the rules in Bangladesh with media?
Yeah. No, Bangladesh media right now, government want to give more freedom to media. After this uh, our previous government, there is a new government come and they go for many reform, constitutional reform, institutional reform. So media is part of that, and they create a lot of law, rules, and regulation, as well as freedom for media. But again, because of the social media, there are a lot of misinformation and disinformation. Many informations actually we are not getting accurately. Let's say this Netanyahu, is he died? Is he alive or not? Even this create a lot of problem in social media. So the social media things Bangladesh government or the Bangladesh media cannot, but this the Facebook and LinkedIn and X and all of the things, they can make a proper policy for that. Secondly, Bangladesh people, they are very much, I want to say, independent, and they want to raise voice for all of the good things and good activities. But from that particular point, I see there are many untrained, media persons and other people, they join in the social media and they are claiming they are journalists. They need proper training, but government is very much responsible. Government want to invite all with all of the legal information and other things, but there are some criticize for political influence and so on. But definitely, Bangladesh media is free, and Bangladesh media has some lot of progression. Even lot of challenges and other things Bangladesh media face, but still, it's in good shape.
It makes sense. Kim's back and everything like that. So, how are you doing today, Kim? I know you're not doing a lot of trips. You're not going to Fair Week because of things that are going on, but definitely lots going on in the media and everything like that. Matter of fact, there's a company called NewsGuard that says that it's keeping a low public profile as it follows its mission of issuing credibility ratings about news outlets. So the Trump administration knows about NewsGuard, though, and the company has joined a lengthening list of journalism organizations that are facing the White House wrath. So I guess that they were not getting a good rating to President Trump. So dispute between President Donald Trump's regulators and the News Monitoring Service has spilled into court, with NewsGuard Technologies suing the Federal Trade Commission and its chairman, Andrew Ferguson, to shut down an investigation. The FCC is accusing the company of trying to suppress conservative speech, and NewsGuard says it's being forced to kneel before vindictive power. So, are you ever worried that we might get a threatening letter? I know we get them from YouTube and other people, but that we might get.
No, we get taken down by YouTube through their AI quite a bit. Even if I'm posting in from YouTube to the show, if I say something negative about Trump, they slap it down and say, "Oh, you're not allowed to do that." So yeah, but what I found interesting was Pete Hegseth's address to the nation about the update on the war, and I couldn't determine whether it was an update on the war or an update on his advice to a media on how to cover war. I mean, I just really, all he did was whine about the coverage and how we're not giving him enough credit. And he actually gave tips on, well, that's where I used to work, so I know. Well, go back, dude, because you definitely don't know how to fight a war or when to start a war. But he was talking about how to do the tickers. But one of the statements he made, because the Trump administration likes to brag a little bit about guess what's coming, and people go, "Oh, no way, no way." Well, he bragged that they're replacing the head of CNN with David Ellison. And as he put it, I can't wait until David Ellison takes over CNN, so the news gets reported the way we want it to be reported. Now you have to watch the update on the war, but that's what I felt like. The update was more about his, his disgruntles with media coverage of his war. This, of course, is his war, not even Trump's. He brags about how they can precisely know where their targets have been hit with our bombs, yet they can't. They have to investigate, as he told off a reporter. Well, we have to investigate. We're still investigating that school. So, they're still investigating the school situation, but they can precisely tell you every target that they hit, that they intended to hit. Now, the question is, he began his speech was, we're not fighting this war fairly, and we have no intentions to. That would mean that they would intentionally hit civilians in schools. Yet he complained about how Iran is not fighting the war fairly. So, I don't know what they expect. If you're not going to fight the war fair, why should Iran fight the war fair? If you're going to hit civilians and children, be prepared. They're going to hit our civilians and children. But they made us a target now. Every American is a target. I believe it's not safe to travel, but it's not safe to travel right now because if you're flying, because the TSA has not been paid for over a month, they have not had funds to pay TSA, though some of them say their paychecks ended a week ago. They won't be getting paychecks until this is over, which means eventually there won't be anyone working in the air zone. So I don't know about people who have tickets, plane tickets. I've advised any family and friends who have a plane ticket in the next 2 weeks should go ahead and cancel, because you have to be at the airport for domestic flights at least 4 hours in advance. They show the lines going around the outside of the airport to get in through check-in. I would be canceling my flight at that point. But how is it safe? And the SAVE Act that they keep pushing, how is that saving the world? The SAVE Act is not saving anything but their elections. So, I think that this is everything that's happening will eventually become a self-inflicted wound on Trump. And, I just, you can't believe everything that's being said by Hedgeseth. You can't believe a word that Rubio says. They've proven it by already fighting amongst themselves as to whose fault it is that we started the war, because Trump has already started blaming Rubio, Johnson, Pete Hegseth, and Bean, Senator Bean of all people. So, but media should be reporting the truth as they know it. Journalists should always be reporting the truth is. And I think that's what I like about Pod TV. And Pod TV is not going anywhere. They're not going to take us down because of violations of regulations. Even though we're broadcasting on TV, on Amazon and Roku, we're not bound by regulatory laws, because those are people and companies that spend billions of dollars a year doing their media. But that broadcasting FCC, when you're under that regulation, that's so that you could broadcast on the towers. Okay, so radio, TV that broadcast across the antennas, the news that broadcasts across the antennas that are assigned a number to broadcast, have to abide by the FCC laws. And Trump's administration is trying to control that. So, what can we say, right? And anyway, so what do you guys think?
No, that makes a lot of sense and everything. Do you think that we'll ever start doing, because I know later on today, if that tornado comes, we'll start hearing them. We'll hear them on Duke campus and everything. But I do remember when I worked at my parents' radio station, we would, and even WCOM and NCU, we would oftentimes have those emergency weather service alerts and everything like that. So do you think that there's any point in time that Pod TV will have the emergency weather service alerts where you get to hear that lovely beep sound, and then you get to know that there are severe storm coming your way and everything like that?
So we're not required by law to do that. Anyone who has the the digits assigned to them to be a broadcaster across the antennas by law, that they have to do that. That's the reason why they have a license, is to be able to provide warnings. So no, we won't need to do that. We're more of streaming news, and we can give the warnings as we get them, but we're not provided the access to the alerting systems. So you just have to look at that. But I think that I believe that we're in for a big storm. I experienced something very unusual many years ago. Well, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, very unusual, where it was a very warm day, but through the air, I felt ice. What felt like ice hitting me, almost like an air conditioner hitting me. But I'm sitting outside in a picnic area, and I go, that's unusual. And maybe an hour later, we're driving home and we get hit in a hailstorm, and there's tornadoes everywhere. And the hail is the size of a tennis ball and golf balls. And the balls were going through our windshield, and they dinged our car so bad it looked like a golf ball. The fist-sized dimples all over the car, not little ones. And it was scary because we were in the car, and we were hoping to use the car as a shield, and it ended up almost killing us. Fortunately, the storm passed, but this taught me a lot, that extra stream of cold air mixed with the hot air can be very dangerous. And I felt that yesterday. I was standing outside, and I felt this ice chill in the streams of this very warm weather. Mm-hmm. And then I received a notice that Washington, D.C., all the way down to South Carolina, there's a stream of very dangerous storms that are going to start hitting today. Tornadoes, hailstorms, and stuff like that. So what I would tell people is be prepared. Mm-hmm. I don't know how long these are going to last. But just be prepared, because it doesn't sound like a good storm system coming through. And I am no weatherman, but I've worked with, and actually was good friends with, a meteorologist who had some of the best equipment ever, and it was quite interesting. So I don't have that equipment, so I can't say, but I can only speak of my own experience. And I learned a lot from that experience, and that is batten down the hatches, stay in safe zones when you feel a change in the system like that, where it's very warm air, but an ice chill comes through it. I'll never forget that. And it happened to me yesterday. So we'll see. We shall see.
We'll see how it plays out. Hey, Rick, I think you're here as well and everything. And you're talking about that warm weather that y'all get ready to get, which is unseasonable for this time of year. And I also know California is known for its earthquakes and everything like that. So has there been a major one recently? And are you expecting any on those fault lines?
Though you're right that I tend to associate earthquakes with warm weather.
I do too.
And we're supposed to get hit with the highest temperatures ever for March over the next week or so, with temperatures up to 110.
Wow. That's scary. That's just an environmental, the scary aspect of how our weathers, and we've always had up and down weathers, but 110 is not sustainable weather. How long do they predict it? And it's early.
I don't know, probably 5 days. Let's see what's happening.
Wow. And it's coming early. This is early for that kind of weather. Plus, you get fires with that kind of weather.
Yeah.
You get very weird electrical storms with that kind of weather.
So I said 110. I misread. It's 101, but still, that's crazy for the middle of
crazy warm for that area and everything like that. How is the media preparing for the Olympics? So y'all got that coming up next year and everything. So you're already starting to get
it's 2 years away, and we don't know. There's still not a lot of gearing up, a lot of discussion. We hear stuff like they want to have air taxis, which is like you ride a drone from your hotel to the event, which is ridiculous, but I guess possible. I don't know. We still have a ton of homeless to do something about, 70,000 homeless people. which
Well,
we
last I looked, the payload for drones wouldn't be able to manage that just yet. But
yeah,
they
I
do
don't know.
have
Let's see. That
flying
was I haven't heard any talk about that in a year or so. Let's see if they're still planning on doing
But
that.
autonomous driving taxis would probably be a big popular thing
Yeah,
during
we have
the
we have a ton of Waymos and stuff.
yeah. But you know they are promoting the flying vehicles right now pretty big time. It's pretty interesting. More of a
Excuse
novelty.
me.
Bless you.
But there still seems some company named Archer Aviation. I think you may have had them on as a guest on one of our shows, talking about those little, but I don't know. Let's see if there's any news about it.
Do you think that they'll be sending robots down to replace soldiers on the boots on the ground?
Well, no,
Not yet.
not yet. No.
Yeah.
So I think 5,000 soldiers and Marines have been deployed to the region.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so we talked about this in the previous hour, where an invasion by Iraq in 1980 with 200,000 soldiers and 3,000 tanks was not, and they marched into Iran along a 400-mile long front. That wasn't enough to tip over the regime.
No.
So I don't think a bunch of boots on the ground would do it.
You're not going to get rid of a supreme leader or a regime of any kind by purely taking out the place. That's of the heart. That's of faith. Their supreme leadership is based on their faith and their religion. And you're not going to get rid of that. You're not going to change a regime of Iran.
Well,
speaking of changing regimes,
whether or not the regime goes, we've got like a couple bad war planners in charge. Pete Hegseth was never rose higher than a major. He doesn't have any experience in war planning. Trump, of course, has no military experience and is politically desperate. So we don't know what they're going to do.
Well, speaking of politically desperate, I did hear that recently Trump was teasing both Biden and Obama. I think he was teasing Obama because of the way that he walks and everything like that. And then he was teasing Biden for his falls and everything like that. So how much of this is a president just being spiteful and just kind of like finding little bully ways to tease the person that he considers an enemy? Because when I saw that, I was going like, why do you care how the man walks? Because I think he felt it was less than dignified and everything like that. And then, of course, he talked about Biden falling, even though he's been known to fall
Trump
too.
has no decorum, no dignity. He says whatever he wants in the moment. Whatever he loses no support by saying whatever he wants. So it doesn't. What he says changes no minds. It loses him. It doesn't gain him or lose him followers. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter a lot in that sense and everything. But even here on this network and definitely on when I watch the various shows, how much do you think people don't understand the notion of semantics even in debates? Because I saw that actually I think Jacoby was winning, even though David might not like that and everything, because he was not understanding some of the semantics in Jacoby's conversation and everything like that. So do you think that we sometimes get caught up in not understanding the semantics of a word? Because you can say the person is not being deployed or is not have feet on the ground, but feet on the ground can also mean
again, it doesn't matter what Trump and his spokespeople say. It doesn't change anybody's mind. Everybody is locked in. It didn't matter yesterday. This is the media show, so we can talk about the Oscars. Whatever people said or didn't say politically during the Oscars changes no minds because people have been decoupled. The There used to be a big middle that was persuadable one way or the other. People have been pushed into their respective teams, and nothing anybody says on the Oscars will change anybody's mind because everybody is locked in.
Again, for the independents are going to shift. There are a few independents. There are individuals on the right and on the left. MAGA will never leave unless Epstein files come out and show anything. That's the only thing. And they're going to fight to make it palatable. I will admit, though, Joe Rogan, I actually agree with something Joe Rogan said, because he pointed out that it would not be wise, or it just seems, I forget how he worded it. Basically, he's talking about it. It seems very disrespectful to do a UFC fight at the Capitol, and we're in the middle of a war. Same thing with the IndyCar racing at the Capitol in the middle of a war. So I do agree with Joe Rogan pointing those two things out. So
Rogan could move some people because Rogan is strongly associated with the right. And if he comes out against, some of Trump's actions, that could move his Trump's approval by, I don't know, 1/3%, 0.5%. I mean, the only thing that, like Jacoby thinks, the only thing that can really lose MAGA significant support is if some really creepy stuff comes out of the Epstein files.
You know what? They're not going to believe anything that comes out of the Epstein files because their leader in the FBI, Dr. Patel, has told everyone that there's nothing that he has seen that implicates Trump in those files. But if you watch the Senate hearings like I do and the Congress hearings like I do, they have attacked Patel and asked him, have you even read the files? He goes, oh, no, I haven't read them. Why should I bother? Previous administration FBI leaders, they've already done all the work. I don't need to read them. And this is his excuse, but he's telling the truth. He hasn't seen anything that implicates Trump because he hasn't read one word in one page of the files before they were redacted or after. So he's actually telling the bug-eyed truth, as I would call it, with Patel.
So
but, go ahead.
So I was just going to say, so even though, like I said, the only thing that may move MAGA that will move MAGA is the Epstein files. However, the big movement that would happen even without the Epstein files, and that's also what's happening, is people are they're not going to not support him. So when you put out the polls saying, hey, we support Trump, it's going to be 89% regardless. It's going to be 80-90% every single time. But that's not what we got to watch for. It goes into the enthusiasm gap. And that enthusiasm part is where people go out and vote. If you're not motivated to vote, even though you may support the person that's in the office, if you're not motivated to vote, you're not going out there. And you don't want to really go out there. So you can have that 80-90% support, but if your people aren't activated or motivated to go, that's the big thing. And I think that's where we can get lost in the numbers some. And,
that's what happened in 2024. The Democrats were demoralized and they didn't show up.
Yep.
Well, and I think that you can't demoralize MAGA. You can't get any lower than that. But I think that I think what's going to happen is when enough of their children are killed in this war, and I'm talking about the MAGAs, they don't care if a Democrat is killed. But I think when enough of their family members are killed in the war, then they might go, you know what, we've had enough. But they don't care that there's a pedophile in the office. They don't care that he's a convicted felon. What you have to look at is what do they care about?
I don't know that Trump and Hegseth are dumb enough to engage in a ground invasion.
I disagree. I think they're going to do the ground invasion, and they're going to actually justify it in some other way. Look at what they did.
Let me tell you why.
But
He
re-
wants a lot of deaths now, a lot of soldiers' deaths to try to drum up the American. We all got to go to war, because now they're already saying, why, Hegseth said this in his speech. Why aren't enough of you getting out there and signing up? We need warriors. We need warriors. Y'all need to be warriors for us. You need to be willing to sacrifice your life for this country. And that's what this has become.
so I think it's partially that. I don't think they want the deaths. I think what they want is a story. They need a narrative. They hope the narrative was going to be when they pushed out ICE there. And, we've stopped covering ICE, and they're still abusing people across the nation. But they deployed ICE. And when that initially started, that was a story that they could sell to their base. And their base loved it. But then once you had the deaths, you had all the bad and negatives, that's when they shifted and tried to pull back from it. That's what's happening here. And so it's not really about the deaths per se. It's they need a story of some kind. That's why when they put out the warning that in California there's going to be Iran is going to shoot a missile to California. How? In what way?
Well, we all know that several missiles went missing and they're unaccounted for. So of course we all know what's going to happen. But I think that they do want the deaths because they think that will rally the hearts of America, that Iranians are killing so many of our soldiers, that we all have to rally and become warriors. And that's what Hegseth is pitching now, is we need more warriors. We need more people willing to sacrifice their life for this country. And that's the pitch he's giving right now. When will you become willing to sacrifice your life for your country? And they're starting the draft. They're pushing for a draft. And the reason is they want the deaths of the soldiers. You know what? Hate me all you want for saying it. It's the truth. And he will use that as a story. He will use that to pump people up. But the thing is we started this. We started this.
Mm-hmm.
So the deaths are on Hegseth, Rubio, Johnson, Bean, and Trump. Even though Trump is blaming those four, he was throwing them under the bus last week. They told me. So.
Of course, they told him what he's supposed to be. But the book is supposed to stop with him. The book is supposed to stop with him.
There's one more thing that could happen. That the Republicans currently have 217 members of the House of Representatives, and the Dems have about 212.
Mm-hmm.
If they lose another couple Republicans, who are running in purple states, they could actually lose the House, and the House could start voting against the war. They had a vote, and it went in Trump's favor, but that could shift if the war goes any worse.
So the only way the House will vote, or even the Senate will vote against Trump, is if the Republican Party's not in control.
Right.
That's the thing, because the Republican Party is always banking. They, in the House and the Senate, they bank on the fact that MAGA never actually goes against whatever Trump asks for. This is why, again, I think they're looking for a story. They need some type of story to sell to their people so their people can feel more palatable about the war. Because if you notice, MAGA went from, again, if you look at before the war, you can look at all the videos of how Trump said that I'm never going to war. I'm the peace president and all this other things. And now they go to war. Now all MAGA talks about is going to war. So they shifted quickly. So it gets back to
about going to war. Literally after he created his quote unquote board of peace.
Yeah, it happened immediately after that, which is crazy. But the thing is MAGA needs a story to stay there. And Trump keeps feeding them. This was all these political things. Oh, well, they're girls in boys sports. No, there aren't. But you're going to put that out there. Now MAGA runs with it. Oh, well, they're coming after this. Oh, well, they're not, but you're putting that out there. MAGA runs with it and doesn't even ask any questions. It's the same thing with the war. With ICE, they ran with that. Oh, well, he has safe cities now because he put all this military. No. In Washington, there's still murders happening, and that happened while the troops were even on the ground. So it didn't really do anything. So they need a story to run with and believe. And that is what they're searching for. Oh, it's a security threat. Iran could have made. Iran maybe would have made. No, that is untrue. That didn't happen. It wasn't happening.
Yeah, but it's important that Iran is an easy boogeyman, though, because Iran it's a theocracy. Definitely has its own dictatorship and everything. So it's an easy boogeyman to pick on and everything.
Exactly.
And it's got other things that we in society don't necessarily approve of. You know, I know a lot of people wish that they had them, even though, like I said on an earlier show, it's not as easy to do as people think it is. But, you know, it's got harems and all the other things that we think are not good for society and everything. So it's an easy boogeyman to pick on them and everything like that.
Exactly. And that's the story they have run with, which is why I can't stand hearing, well, they said death to America for 47 years. Okay, so did other countries. So now we're going after those countries too. It doesn't work that way. Your neighbor can say, I hate you every other day you walk in. That doesn't mean that you get to go over and rob your neighbor. It doesn't work that way. So there has to be some type of threat directed, some literal legitimate threat. And if there was a literal legitimate threat, they haven't found one because they can't find one right now. So they need a story to create so MAGA runs with it. I mean, don't get me wrong. Nobody's shedding a tear or defending the individual, defending the Ayatollah and stuff like that. But they that's what they end up running with, is that, oh, well, if you don't agree with it, then, oh, you're defending Iran. No, I'm not. I'm not doing that. Oh, well, if you're not supporting this, then you're unpatriotic. No, just because I disagree with how you went about going through this stuff. No, it doesn't make me that way. It's just I get to voice my opinion based on the freedoms that we have in the country. That's what the thing is. But it's just we get wrapped in this.
We get wrapped up in semantics and these word games and stuff like that. We definitely get wrapped up in a lot of that nonsense of trying to define what a term is and what a term isn't, even though it's not really really that relevant to the point that it was being made and everything. So even the whole notion of whether we've got boots on the ground or whether we're deployed, once you put your boat in the ocean that is controlled by Iran, you're technically in their part. You're technically in their part of the world. Whether that's actually having the boots on the ground in Iran, or that it's having the boat in their water.
I want to go back to the House of Representatives because we have 217 Republicans, one independent who used to be Republican and still caucuses with the Republicans. You have 214 Democrats. You have 3 vacancies. One is to fill MTG's, Marjorie Taylor Greene's seat. I think that happens in April or June. That'll be filled by a Republican. There's one to fill in New Jersey because a Democrat left to become governor. That'll be filled by a Democrat. And then you have one in California, formerly filled by a Republican, I think, who died, and is I think a toss-up. And then you have 30 Republicans in the House who are retiring. They decided not to run. And those people are probably being picked at, visited by the Democrats saying, give up on the Republicans. You have nothing to lose. Do you like what's going on? If they can peel away a couple of Republicans, if they can win one more seat, then that means control could go over to the Democrats. And Mike Johnson would not be Speaker anymore. And they could potentially vote to impeach Trump again. Mm-hmm. That wouldn't go anywhere. It would go to the Senate, and the Senate would let Trump keep his job, but it would mean that he'd be impeached again. And that would mean they could take votes against a lot of the shit that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
None of those votes would be binding because you need the Senate, but it would probably psych up the Democrats to show up to try to get more leverage in 2026 at the end of, in the general election this year.
But I don't think impeachment is the thing. Impeachment has become watered down now. I think what it is people want fight. People want Jasmine Crockett. People want AOC. People want they don't want a John Fetterman who wants to be a Republican. They don't want Chuck Schumer who just seems feckless and just.
Yeah, but they didn't vote for Jasmine Crockett. They voted. The Democrats voted for Tallarico.
And Tallarico. But Tallarico, honestly, he's also a very fighter. He's a fighter Democrat. He's very progressive in his views as well, but he's not the outspoken as Jasmine Crockett. Right. But again, they want somebody to fight. They want somebody to get up there and not just be they want somebody to push stuff through. And if you have if you show that in the, that going into the elections that you're trying to get these investigations done because you found out that Pete Hegseth spent $90 billion or $100 billion in September of last year, that's going to fire up the Democrat base. If you see that they're looking into what Kristi Noem spent all this money on, where USAID is now because that's taken away, and that's that soft power that's been taken away from the world. How USAID is now because that's taken away, people are dying. You show these things that people are fighting for these individuals. You show that healthcare is being skyrocketed. That's your bread and butter. You show that we can actually install a public option. We can actually kick out. We can impeach and remove RFK Jr.
I think more than any of this, that gas prices and within 2 months, core inflation that's what pissed off people the most in this past election. And so we're about a week away. We're certainly a week away from gas being national average being over $3.90, might hit $4. Give it another month. If Trump's dumb enough to stay over, to not, pull out, and gas will be over $4.50. And core inflation is already over 3%. And
oil is sitting at $94 a barrel right now. It seems to be flattening out, but it's still hovering, still at that 100.
As long as it stays there, the price of oil doesn't have to go up any further to cause further increase in gas prices. I don't know how long it takes for gas prices to catch up with the price of oil, but it takes a few weeks because of refining, because of getting the gas to retailers, and also because oil companies are greedy fucks who manipulate the market to their advantage.
Yeah,
and I agree that those are there. Because the core inflation and the prices of everything, if you throw in healthcare and a solution around that, and then the ancillary icing on the cake stuff, but mainly if you hold on to those three things, you don't even have to talk about immigration. You just talk about price, your price of everything, and fixing healthcare. And if the Democrats hone those things in, show a big fight around it. Right now, the fight around Homeland Security, Homeland Security not being paid and all the other stuff. DHS, is not being paid. That's a big fight, and you got to show why you're in that fight. And
nobody's paying attention to that. Everybody's distracted by this other. Trump is great at distraction.
Well, the problem with it, though, is that's really going to be a avalanche. You need to have an answer right now for that, because right now people have left the TSA because they just received their first month with no pay, fully no pay. So now you have even longer lines at the airport. You have a war going on. You have prices going up. So have an answer for TSA. Have an answer for DHS. And because you need to have your solutions and your talking points dedicated for gas, dedicated for health, I mean for the healthcare system. But as long as you got an answer for DHS, because they're going to hit you with that of why are you not allowing those people to be paid is going to be the question. You need to point out, I'm not in charge. That's
so TSA and DHS. The impact of that, you might start feeling it more in the summer when people travel. School gets out, people go on trips, they go to the airport and it's freaking chaos, or people feel like they're in danger when they travel. So that's 2-3 months away.
No, that's now. This is spring break time. So it's now.
Okay. All right. I'll buy that.
You got airport lines that are out the wazoo. You have March Madness is happening right now where people are flying to different places. So you have everything
to some
hitting
extent.
right now.
All right, to some extent. All right, I'm looking at inflation. So AI tells me that the cost of energy is roughly 6.3%. 1/16 of what goes into inflation is the cost of fuel. That includes home heating stuff, that includes gasoline, but then that doesn't include knock-on effects when people start charging more for Triscuits because it costs them more to make them. But the forecasted impact of these oil prices is that we will have inflation of a jump of inflation of 1%.
Well,
from by April. So we could be looking at inflation of 3.5% or more by April, which those are the numbers that got Biden in trouble.
Also, remember that they just revised the numbers down from last quarter. We also had high job losses, and the stock market right now is in chaos. So with everything that you just pointed out there, Rick, with the inflationary numbers going up, we have gas prices going up. We're about to have a big fall on a lot of things.
So then we have to look at indicators of how pissed people are. One indicator is how much of this news gets onto Fox News, because Fox News shields its viewers from a lot of bad news. If there's enough of it, they'll put it on there.
Yeah, but you got those silos like you're talking about. Fox has got its silo, and I'm sure they would say that there are silos on the liberal side too.
Well, I'm not worried about the silos per se, because the independents aren't going to be focused on those silos. Those independents are focused elsewhere. And keeping that silo on Fox News, that rolls back into this voting bloc that is not going to be enthusiastic, because you cannot talk about, if you're in your silo and you're upset about prices being so high and your silo is steadily telling you that Trump is doing a great job, you're not going to be enthusiastic about going out and voting. So you're going to stay in your silo, and you're not going to venture out to understand, okay, well, I need to do something.
So but independents don't generally pay attention until way closer to the election. We're still almost 8 months out. Like if you're an independent or just a regular person, say you're a 60-year-old woman who's caring for your 90-year-old mom. You're not paying much attention to whatever, your mom's watching. You're watching that maybe out of the corner of your eye. Say you're a 38-year-old guy who's addicted to porn. You're not watching, you're not paying attention. And unless you go to the grocery, and cheese is $1 more than we have half of the U.S. population, maybe more, is not paying attention yet, except to the things that impact their daily experience.
But Rick, and we get wound up and everything. Don't you think that a lot of those people that are in that 80-year-old crowd are watching shows that try to be a little bit neutral? At least they try to be, because I know that for a fact that my mom loves watching The View and everything like that, and The View has people from both sides.
Okay, yeah. Or like I go to the gym, and like I go to several gyms, and sometimes at one gym they've got CNN on all the time. At another gym, it's Fox all the time. That's a YMCA. Every time I go to that gym, I not every time, but sometimes I complain, going, Fox. The point of view of Fox is not consistent with the YMCA's mission, which is, being nice to everybody. And they'll turn the channel for half a second. I'll leave, then they'll turn it back. Anyway, but it's just if you're an independent, you're just seeing stuff out of the corner of your eye. You're not, you don't get a newspaper. You're watching ESPN. You're not watching CNN.
Yeah, that's true. And as I go out the door, I'm going to tease you. You're watching YMCA because you used to like the Village People. Don't try to fool me. I know that's the reason you were watching.
I mean, the YMCA, it used to be known for a place to hook up. When I got to New York City for the first time, I joined the Y because it was cheap, a place to work out. And a guy comes up to me at the gym and he goes, "You want to wrestle?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I wrestled. I tried to wrestle in high school." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I'll wrestle." And then I wrestled the guy. And then and then we got done wrestling. And then I'm like walking home after. I'm like, that was weird. And I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's the YMCA." So
he was trying to pick you up. That's what it was.
But no, the YMCA is not like, I don't think it's the way it was in the 70s or 80s. I think it's a place for old people to go to have gentle workouts.
Yeah, well, if I want to get a gentle workout, and I probably need to go get one, I'll go to my apartment complex, the fitness center, because every apartment complex has got a fitness center.
Right, and like the fitness center, like some of the cable machines are broken. Somebody's stolen like half of the dumbbells. Yeah.
Yep. And on that note, we get ready to get on out of here. And
All
we're
right.
doing the timeshare show right now, and I'll see you gentlemen on tomorrow.
See you then. Thanks. Bye.